All right, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining me today on Lions Talk Live Morning Show Edition. And you know what? Last night we had a little bit of a video about the fact that Detroit Lions had spoken to the Denver Broncos twice in the last week and about Patrick Surtain. We talked a lot about, hey, the Lions have 7 draft picks in this upcoming draft. So do we feel like as Lions fans, we can keep all those 7 picks? Do you draft these 7 different individuals and bring them onto the team, which means you're probably letting go of some pretty good talent, especially veteran players? It's something we could do for sure. I know we also speculated about, the potential of putting some of these guys on the practice squad, but at least in my opinion, if you put them on the practice squad, you're probably not keeping them. They're probably getting pilfered by another team, because of how well Brad Holmes, this scouting staff, the front office have done in selecting players. So that made me decide today's video would be to ask you guys to get your questions, your answers, to get your opinions, see what you would do as the general manager of the Detroit Lions. Would you trade up? Would you trade down? Would you trade for an existing NFL player? Or would you just stand pat? Again, in my opinion, you're going to have a hard time putting all 7 players on the team this year in one manner or another. But could it be done? Yes, you could. So I want to see what your thoughts are as I adjust this backdrop or screen, whatever you want to say. What are your thoughts? I made my argument as to why the trade proposal yesterday makes a lot of sense to me, because yes, you're going to give up some good draft capital, but you're going to get a player that, the NFL knows who he is at this point. You as a fan, I as a fan, Lions front office, we all get who Patrick Surtain Jr. is. That's going to take away a few draft picks from you, but you know what? Now you probably have a little bit more flexibility with your remaining draft capital to go out and target some developmental players. All right, you heard my thoughts on it, but what are your thoughts? That's why I'm here today. I want to know what you guys have to think about this. Would you trade up? Would you trade down? Would you trade for? Or would you stand pat? That's going to be the focus of today's show. Before we get into it, though, a couple real quick things. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Making a push to get to 6,300 subs, and we need about 50 more subscribers in order to achieve that. So if you haven't subscribed, you like the channel, please consider doing so. Also, if you enjoy the content there within the video, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up button. It helps out the channel a lot. You guys all get that. You probably watch YouTube enough to know that. So, all right, last thing, but never the least thing, if you're looking to buy or sell property anywhere in the state of Michigan, give me a call or shoot me a text. You see my number on the screen, 269-998-2384. Allow me to work for you, try to save you some money on either the sale or purchase of property, and make the process a whole lot easier for you. I've been in the industry since the early 1990s. So I've worked on commercial property, summer vacation properties, demolition jobs, or homes that need to just be blown up with some dynamite and started all over. Vacant land. You get the idea. There's nothing at this point that I haven't seen. Let me see if I can use that experience to help you and, again, save you some money. 269-998-2384. Again, if you're outside the state of Michigan, you can still contact me. I can answer questions for you and try to put you in the right path towards one thing or the other. All right, welcome to Lions Talk Live. Let's get going. You heard the topic for today's show. Be interesting to see, and there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, there's just your answer. So let me know what you got. JDC, good morning, all. Good morning to you too, my friend. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Miles, good morning. Back at you, buddy. All right, Bo, what do you got? Good morning, Duke Crew, Superdome or bust, trade up. All right, so Bo, here's my question for you. If we trade up, is there anybody in particular you want the Lions to trade up for? Would you be aggressive and go for a trade up in the first round, second round? Let me know. Give me some ideas. All right, Miles, what do you got? Trade back to get a pick each round minus, round 1, obviously. All right, fair enough. So trade back, get more draft capital. Gotcha. All right, Bo, what do you got? If we trade for Patrick Surtain, I would consider that a trade up. I would too. Yeah, you'd be trading up for an existing player, but hey, we'll go with that. And again, I know we talked about it for a while last night when I did that video, but man, imagine the Lions secondary. If he's your number one, Davis, I'm assuming, would be the number two. Let's say Emmanuel Mosley fully recovers and gets to his former, abilities. Just think about those three guys in the secondary. And now you add Robertson, you add Branch. I mean, you add Iffy, Kirby. I mean, that's a scary secondary. So let's see what they do. All right, Susan, what you got? Greetings and salutations. Tough one. I say trade up or trade for. Okay, and it'll be interesting when people say trade for. I get the Surtain news is fresh, so probably a lot of people are going to focus on that. But are there other players you would consider trading for? An elite defensive end, or whoever, maybe another wide receiver. I don't know. See what you guys, what thoughts you have. Let me know. If you say trade for, who are you, or who would you like to trade for? Let me go there. All right, Michael, greetings, salutations, Coach and Dew Crew, back at you. Hopefully having a great one. Hoogadoo, rise and shine, Dan of the Dew Crew, 100% with that. You know what? And every second that passes, I'm a little closer to that morning Mountain Dew, so I'm happy about that. All right, Tori, what do you got? Good morning, all. I like the idea of trading up for players. Only way I see us trading back is we trade for future draft picks. That is a possibility and a great point. Could you unload some of this year's picks to acquire picks for, 2025 or 6 or whenever? That is possible. Yeah, you could try to back end and load some things up, knowing that, potentially in a year or two, some of these guys you can't re-sign. So we're going to need more ammunition to acquire replacements in the draft. So that's not a bad thought. Not a bad thought at all. Brittany, what do you got? Agrees, salutations, all. Same to you. Michael, if we could pull off the trade for Surtain, that would give us a top 10 defense. I agree, man. That you'd have so much flexibility, what you could do with that front seven. I mean, I really think you'd be blitzing almost every down, just getting after people. I agree with you, Coach, on how to keep everyone. Yeah, it's the tough part with the Lions are, to your point, Michael, kind of victims of their own success, that they are so talented and deep now with salary cap remaining. It becomes a math problem, doesn't it? You can only have so many people on the roster. You can only put so many people on the practice squad. And again, if you're on the practice squad, you're fair game for everybody. So Brad Holmes got a tough spot here, and it's not a bad problem to have. Every team would love to have this issue, but the Lions, as crazy it may be to say for longtime Lions fans, the Lions might be the example how to build a franchise at this point. They might be the example how everybody else starts mimicking and copying. I mean, they are out there playing money ball, if you get the term, the way they're handling the draft, free agency. Yeah, I'm going to imagine you'll see more and more teams begin to copy it. All right, let's see. Hatman, what do you got? Good morning, Dan, Dew Crew. I have a name for our offensive line, the Dew Crush. I like it. Now that's a T-shirt waiting to happen right there. All right, Hatman, woo! The first woo of the show. There you go. Then thank you for that. Bo, what do you got? Motor City Maulers. All right, well, there we go. That's not a bad idea. I'm assuming that's for defense, or you're talking about the offensive line. I guess it could apply to either. Maybe the entire team. Uncle Buzz, do you think Deion Sanders, all cover, no tackle, would have been able to play for MCDC? I would say this. There'd probably be some coachable moments with MCDC, Aaron Glenn, if Deion was to be drafted today by the Detroit Lions and playing for us. They'd probably be pushing him to perhaps work on that aspect of his game a little bit. All right, Hatman, I would like to wish everyone a happy Easter tomorrow. Well, happy pre-Easter to you. By the way, today is my mom's birthday. She is 87 years young today. So, yes, happy birthday, Mom. All right, JDC, do the AG boogie. Trade up, trade down, trade all around. There you go. Yeah, trade it all around. All right, Hatman, good one, JDC. Fair enough. Yes, I concur. All right, Bo, do we keep Brock Wright? I like the player. Seems to be a true grit guy. He is, man, and he is the epitome of what the vast majority of these players are. People that have been overlooked or cast aside. He was an undrafted free agent, so his success is indicative of basically how this team has been constructed and built. And you know what? I don't know if we'll keep him. I don't, San Francisco or the Lions, somebody's going to get him. They're going to get a good player, and I'm just happy for him as an individual. I would like him to remain a Detroit Lion. I think he's the prototypical guy you want to build around. But like we're starting to see more and more with our own success, you just can't keep everybody. All right, Bo, JDC, laughing. All right, shake it all around 100%. Dean, what do you got? At Uncle Buzz. Wow, that's a good question. What was the question? Yeah. About Deion Sanders. Correct. Dr. Trait, Detroit, trade up for Surtain and get a sure thing. That's, if you're going to trade for someone, and this is the achievable one you're going for, yeah, I'm all for it just because everything I've already said, man, you just can't keep all these draft picks. You can't keep all these players. You've got a window of opportunity. I think most of us agree. At least the next, 2 to 3 years look like Detroit Lions could be in the contention for the NFC title, not just the North, the NFC overall, which obviously puts you in the Super Bowl. So, roll the dice, man. Go out there and build yourself an elite defense to go with that elite offense. And you know what? See where the chips fall. Because, again, you're going to have to start paying some of these guys. And when that happens, you're either having to move on from them with replacements or, you've had to have taken advantage of the time they were here. I'm probably way too aggressive. I'm not Brad Holmes by any stretch of the imagination. I would be making this trade or something very similar to it, just saying, hey, we're going to go for it. Here's our window. We know we've got the scouting department and the wherewithal to be able to draft at any time. But now we need to use some of these draft picks to also get us a couple guys to help push us over the top and potentially get us a Super Bowl title. All right, Aaron, let's see. Hello, Dan. I got a new name for our defense, the Silver Thumb or Silver Pop. All right, we'll go with that. Those are two good ones, Silver and Silver. I like it. All right, Bo, Deion would have become a tackling machine. Yeah, I think he would have been coached up just a wee bit. All right, Darcy, good morning, everyone. I like the idea more and more of us being aggressive to get 1 or 2 impact players. And yeah, let's just assume maybe you don't trade for an existing player. Maybe you do trade up in the draft. If you trade up in the draft, and let's just use the first round as an example. Let's say you got to give up your first round and third round pick, maybe something else thereafter, maybe one of the fifth round picks or something. I think that probably gets you to the high 20s, low 20s, maybe high teens or somewhere around there. At that point, what position do you go for? I'm guessing you're probably going for maybe a defensive end or corner, one of the better cornerbacks, maybe the Toledo Rocket kid. Maybe Latua. I know he's been talked about. There's been a lot of guys speculated on. Could you go for an offensive lineman? You could, but I just think there's so much depth at the interior offensive line that position is still going to be around in the second round. So it'll be interesting to see if they trade up, what they go for, and everything I just listed will probably be thrown out the window. The Lions will probably go for a wide receiver if they trade up. All right, let's see. Miles, what do you got? LOL, Detroit Boogie. There you go. Hooky-doo. What about the wall of pain? There you go. Now, are you using that for the offensive line, Hookadoo, or are you using that for the Detroit Lions defense? Let me know, man. Friends, greetings and salutations all. And if I remember correctly, it's good evening for you. So good evening, my friend, and thanks for joining the show. All right, Broski. I am the Broski with the Moski. There we'll go with that too, man. Good morning to you too. All right, Aaron, I would take the trade for Surtain. Yeah, I think 100%. And I don't think there'd be anybody lining up enjoying playing against the Lions defense because, again, you can just put out so many guys who can cover man-to-man across the board there. I just think you'd be blitzing and pressing all day long. Yeah, I mean, some people are going to hit some shots on you. And I know last night I used the idea of 1985 Bears defense? And I get, there'll be some people that don't understand the principles behind it. But the idea was they were going to consistently send more people at the quarterback than you could effectively block. And for whatever the length of the game is, 2 hours, your quarterback was going to be getting shots from all over the field. And back then, I get the shots then are way different than the shots he can take now. But still, those shots, even in today's NFL, they add up. And if you're constantly mixing and matching and forcing quarterbacks to have to throw into very tight windows while getting slammed over and over, you're going to give up some big plays. You're going to give up some chunk plays. But those quarterbacks, man, they are going to get racked. And you're going to put the ball in harm's way from time to time for an interception to happen. You've seen this happen, especially last year in the last few months. And using the NFC title game again as an example, those opportunities for those picks were there. Just off the top of my head, I can think of 3 dropped interceptions. And if we hold on to 1 or 2, let alone all 3 of those, the Lions are in the Super Bowl. So, yes, I think that's where if we go for Surtain or somebody like that, I think that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to be Blitzburg. All right, JDC, bring back leather helmets and pads. Well, we'll see if we can make that happen. Eddie, the House of Pain. I like that. And, again, using that for the defense or what? Let me know. Bo, what do you got? Ford Field will be the House of Pain. Still need a moniker for the defense. There you go. Ford Field will be. I remember at the Silver Dome, they used to call that the Thunderdome. And, that stuck around for a few years. All right, Jessica, what do you got? Green Citations, I'm going trade for. All right. Now, who would you want to trade for? I get some people are saying Surtain, but is there anybody else that you'd be trading up for? Thomas, Green Citations, do crew, exclamation points, and woo, 100%. Good morning to you too. Broski, Lions missed their chance for Reddick. All right. They should have traded for him. Could have been had for a second-round pick since he was traded for a third. Yeah, and I get it. Sort of like Sweat last year that you guys got. I think part of the reason why the Lions didn't go for Sweat last year is because your second-round pick was basically the only way we could leapfrog it was to go to the first round, and I get Brad Holmes didn't want to go that way. For Reddick, yeah, you probably would have had to give up your second-round pick. Maybe they had discussions. That part I don't know. But it would have been nice to have had him for sure. All right, Broski at Bobuth. How about Lions D? Softer than a pillow made of clowns. Oh, here comes the smack talk. It's beginning early today. It's beginning. All right, Bill. Good morning. I'll trade up for all day long. Okay. Miles. Let's see. Bo. Still need a defense. Hello. Very good. All right. Bo, what do you got? I like where the defensive tackle situation is. Edge is looking like a lot of potential. Yeah, a lot of potential there. You guys have heard me talk to death my thoughts on Betts. I think he can be effective. He's just got to be more from a system than he is from individual moves. I hope I end up being wrong on that, but I think you can systematically get him with his speed and quickness to the quarterback versus one-on-one situations. James Houston's more one-on-one, not that you couldn't use the system to get him freed up because he does have speed and flexibility as well. Pascal, I think he's real good against the run. I got to see more from him as far as being able to win the 50-50s, the one-on-one pass rush wins to get to the quarterback, but they're definitely developing depth there and some good depth there. All right, Hatman, what do you got? Hey, Dan, I haven't seen Bit Lady for a while. Do you know if she is, if all is okay with her? Question mark. I love a woman who knows football. I want to say the last time I remember seeing her, which was, I think before I went on my trip, just by a day or two. So we'll just say like a week and a half ago, she was saying something about her work schedule. She worked a different shift time nowadays. So maybe she'll pop on in the comment section or something. Let me know, or let us know, I should say. But I want to say maybe somebody else remembers more clearly, but that sounds about right to me. All right, Thaddeus, what do you got? Good morning. Good morning to you too. JDC, the new kickoff rule, thumbs, new tackling rule down. Yeah, that you can't basically hold on to somebody and throw all your weight on the ground, dragging them down. And I get the idea behind it, but I just think that's going to be one of those just dang tough to enforce rules, because if I'm tackling somebody from behind, I mean, it's going to happen. I'm going to pull them down from behind. Oh man, I think you're going to see a real learning curve on that rule. And I won't be surprised if they end up getting rid of it. The kickoff rule, to me, I think it will kind of bring kickoffs back to the game. My question is, I think you can see a lot of real good returns. If you have your front wall blocking, if they can do their job of just blocking for a second, let alone if somebody can get a second and a half, then that kickoff returner, if they take it, yeah, they might be able to get some real big yards. All right, Michael, I think the Lions drafted another quarterback this year. Desmond Ridder or Joe Milton or Michael Penix, depending on how far they fall. It could be. We'll have to wait and see. Could they do that? That would, especially if it's one of the earlier round draft picks, that would be a bit of a surprise. But if the Lions feel like one of them are the future, that's also probably an indication where they feel Hendon Hooker is, or I guess I should say is not. All right, Detroit D, can't wait to see the jump our second-year players make. Branch, Gibbs, Laporta, 100% with them. Those three, imagine their second years to them, D. And now, what can Campbell do? Martin, Scoresdale, Green. There's a lot of good young players on this team. Let's see how far they all go. I think there's a real opportunity for Green to end up being maybe in a starting receiver, but in the conversation for getting a lot of snaps. Campbell, hopefully, just continues to grow and develop. Broderick Martin is the one I'm really wanting to see. Can he really make a big jump forward? I know I used the example many times of Jerry Ball his first couple years, and then all of a sudden he hit and he was a Pro Bowler, setting team records for most tackle or most sacks by or interior defensive lineman, team history, all that kind of stuff. There's some just real strong young talent on this team across the board. And, we haven't even mentioned Hendon Hooker. If he ends up just looking like the real McCoy in preseason, does that open up conversations for quarterback needy teams? If somebody gets hurt, maybe they want to trade for him or, whatever. We'll speculate on that in time. All right, greetings, salutations back at you, my friend, too. Hopefully having a great morning. Property Lord, good morning, everyone in the Dew Crew. 100%. It's always a great day to be a part of the Dew Crew. All right, JDC, Broski Bear, the Lions defense will put you in la-la land. Pleasant dreams. So maybe he needs the super soft pillow. All right, yeah, because he's dreaming. I got you. Well played there, JDC. All right, Bo, what do you got? If a player under 200 pounds takes on a guy weighing over that, should it become a consideration when jumping whether the league finds him? Whew, man, there's just so many different ways. To me, the NFL is putting themselves in a box because you could really, we don't want people to tackle in the knees. I get, Kirby Joseph took a lot of shots or flack, whatever, for some of his tackles during the playoffs. But you're, say, 190-pound cornerback or safety in this case, and you're asked to tackle a 300-pound, 270-pound guy. There's only so many ways for me to get you on the floor. So I either have to lose my job or I have to tackle you low and put your career in jeopardy. And I get people don't want to see people get injured. I can't tackle you here in the head. They don't want me to tackle you below the waist. They don't want me to jump on you and fall. Man, it's getting tough to be a defender in the NFL. Broski, at JDC, the Lions D is the Raggedy Ann of the NFL. Boy, we need to have a steel cage death match here. Let's just get it on. Come on. Was it MTV? Steel cage death match. Yeah, that old claymation show. All right, Broski, let's see. JDC, Broski Bear, duly noted. All right, Bo, Karma Rings, DL. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, Hookadoo, Broski. You didn't hear the Lions got a bear permit. They will have bear meat for dinner. There you go. Coming after the Bears. Trey, rising to Dan and everyone in the chat. Thank you for that. And back at you, by the way, Trey. If you're making a trade for Patrick Surtain, I would like to see them move up and add the best player available. I'm liking Keon Coleman because they need a wide receiver. Yeah, and my question is, Trey, if we trade for Pat Surtain Jr., what are we going to have? We're going to have some limited funds here to work with. Not that we couldn't go get them for sure, but man, I think the Lions. How about this? I think we both agree. We all agree. Lions are probably going to be in a situation where they're going to want to be more aggressive in the draft. For those of you who maybe don't know off the top of our head, we've got 7 draft picks. We got number 29 in the first round, 61 in the second round, 73 from Minnesota in the third round. 5th round, we got 164. 6th round, we have 2. 1 from Tampa Bay. That would be 201. And then we also have 205. And then 7th round, we have 249. So those are our picks. I think we're going to be aggressive. I really think if fielding more than 3 players from this year's draft class, maybe 4, is going to be a real challenge unless they just end up just, saying, man, these guys are just too dang good. We've got to get rid of other players. And that's where I'm at with things. And it sounds like, Trey, you and I are thinking alike, and a few other people in the chat, that it's just you don't have a ton of needs on this team. This is probably going to be one of the deepest, if not the deepest, Lions team of the last 50 years. And therein lies the problem. Who does not make the team? And there are going to be so many of these guys getting cut or put on the practice squad. The other teams that are desperate in rebuilds or whatever are going to be jumping and grabbing left and right. All right, David A., what do you would not trade up or down. Holmes, I trust, will do the right thing. All right, offensive line, cornerback, defensive line, in that order. Okay, I'll go with that. All right, Robert G., good morning. All exclamation points. Do the trade for Surtain, exclamation points. Your logic is spot on. Okay, at Coach Dan. Hey, every once in a while I get something right, and sometimes I get things wrong too, man. All right, Broski, did I just read something about it being hunting season and a bear permit? LOL. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. We're coming after the Bears, my friend. That's what we're doing in Detroit. Jeff Hurley, is that the asking price for Surtain or what we're offering? Question mark. If that is settled, then let's get the young man in for a physical. So, Jeff, what I can tell you is the Denver Broncos, and you'll find this information anywhere. They're talking to tons of different teams. I know they talked to the 49ers. They've talked to the Lions. They've talked to, I don't know. They've probably talked to just about every team potentially in the league about offloading Patrick Surtain. If I'm their GM, which I'm not, I understand it. You are going to be looking to bring in a new quarterback. You're going to be looking to add a lot of young players. And not that Surtain's old, but assuming it takes 2 or 3 years for your new quarterback to mature. Surtain's past his rookie contract at that point. He's on his second contract. He's now going to be, at that point, don't hold me, I don't know his age off the top of my head. I'm going to assume he's like 23 or 4 right now. So we'll just say he's 27. That means more than likely he's now almost to the point where he's going to start physically declining. There's no time frame on everybody, but it's more realistic when you get to 27, 28, you're at about your physical peak. You're going to start slowly declining. So knowing that he's a diminishing commodity, I'd rather trade him now, knowing that my rebuild is going to take 2 or 3 years to try to acquire more assets, younger assets that can kind of all grow and mature together, sort of like what the Lions have done. So we'll see what they end up choosing to do. My anticipation is somebody's going to get him. It's just right now the Denver Broncos are doing their due diligence. They're putting it out there. They're trying to establish a baseline for what the asking prices are. Now they're going to try to get a few teams, 2 or 3 or 4, to try to make emotional choices and say, hey, I need you to come up a little bit higher and we can eliminate all these teams. And now it's just going to be whoever's going to be outbid each other to get them. Will that be the Lions? Man, it's a great question. And we may have to wait to either right before the draft or maybe even draft day to get that answer. If somebody the Denver Broncos really want starts slipping closer and closer to pick 29 and they haven't made a trade with another team, then maybe the Detroit Lions win by default. All right, let's see. Matthew, greetings and salutations. Good morning, everyone. Super Bowl or bust? Woo! Trade down from 29. Multiple trade to get multiple, second rounders. If you can get Surtain, do that and get up into second round with what you have left. Okay, maybe get Surtain and then, trade a lot of the remaining picks to get a second round, probably a late second round pick. Maybe go for offensive line, wide receiver, or defensive end. To be honest, I'd be way okay with that, especially in return for that trade up the second round. Maybe we get a couple 7th rounders just so we can add, some depth players, some practice squad players that if we lose them, we're not, going to cry in our soup about it. Maybe even a kicker just for competition. So I get what you're saying, man. Trey D. Surtain would be great to go against Jefferson, Watson, Moore, Allen. He can give them problems. Yeah. And again, I love the way we're thinking here that you have arguably one of the best young cornerbacks in the league, a true number 1. And now Davis becomes, I believe, a matchup problem for everybody's number 2 receiver. Mosley or Robertson or Branch or whoever is now your third and fourth, yeah, that becomes a real good secondary. All right, Hookadoo. Broski Barrett, you didn't hear Lions got a bear permit from the DNR. Lions will have bear meat for dinner. There you go. All right, Gary, when it comes to Goff's contract, he's as good as his O-line. Without top line, he doesn't have arm strength or mobility to get out of trouble. This is true. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to ever question Goff is not a mobile quarterback. Goff is a Greek statue back there. He does a lot of good things, but running and scrambling is not among them. His arm strength, I don't think it's elite by any means. I think it's probably above the NFL average, but it doesn't mean it's elite or anything. So there's certain throws he's not as great at because of it, but he does a lot of good things real well. What they're going to do with him, I think we're going to extend him. I've gone on record saying that. I also think they're going to probably wait until closer to the preseason games are concluded to really have a strong evaluation of where they're at with Hendon Hooker too. All right, Detroit D, our secondary would be nasty, 100%. It'd be the best Lions secondary probably in my lifetime. And some of the ones in the mid-90s were dang good. It's just I think we'd be better. This one would be better just because of the depth. And to me, that's the scary thing. You could survive one or two injuries in that secondary and still be pretty dang nasty. All right, Broski, what do you got? Hookadoo, what is a DNR line? There you go. Gary, sign Brock Wright contract seems fair. Guy does everything you can ask from him. One of the unsung guys of this team. Yeah, he's good all around. He can block. He can, he can run patterns. He's not a problem. Yeah, I'm with you. He's worth it. Anthony, all T-shirts are done and being mailed today. Thanks for your support of the channel. Yes, and again, Anthony, thank you for all you do for the channel, man. Outstanding work as always. And you know what? It's always a pleasure to have you be a part of the show, man. You're great. All right, Hookadoo. Broski, you really don't know what the DNR is? Hey, maybe he doesn't, man. It's possible. Let's see. Michael, what do you got? If we don't make the Surtain train, I would use the picks to get Jackson Powers, Johnson, Nealon, and Sweat or Frazier. Whew. That's not a bad idea. Ensure that you get Jackson Powers. Nealon, I'm with you on him. If you guys, and again, I know not everybody's seen him, but the dude is massive and he is athletic. I just think coming from a mid-level D1, it's more than likely going to take him a little time. I don't know if you guys remember a kid named Jason Babin. I know him just because I had a report on him forever. He's from Paw Paw, Michigan. He was an all-state champion heavyweight wrestler, played defensive end for Western, got drafted by the Houston Texans. And it took him a little bit of time to adjust and adapt like it would for most athletes coming from a mid-major. But he ended up having a pretty good NFL career, pretty long one too. I think Nealon, just because of his athleticism, he's got so much upside if you can polish him that, yeah, he could be a real steal. And then Sweat or Frazier, yeah, both of them I like. Sweat I like just because his raw mass and size, plus he's got some athleticism. Frazier's real nice too, though. If you could get 3 of those guys in the draft, I think you're going to be able to keep them all. They're all going to be able to impact the team. And yeah, that's not a bad way to go. All right, Gary Surtain, yes. And still on a rookie contract. I do it in a heartbeat. Yeah. It just, again, I know what they've talked about, but also if you're, again, Denver's GM, you're trying to use that as leverage now to get somebody else to give you more. That's why I think a lot of people that sometimes, jump in the chat and say, hey, he talked about this trade. Didn't happen. What the heck, man? That's where I think they kind of struggle to recognize that whenever GMs talk or whoever from each organization, probably going to be a GM, are talking about a trade, they're now going to take that proposed trade and they've more than likely talked to another team or two about the trade. They're going to do what's right for them. They're not worried about the team they just chatted with. They're going to try to manipulate everybody they can to get more and more and more, because at the end of the day, they're only focused on their needs, not your needs. If you want to trade 29 first-round picks for this punter, we're going to let you do it. All right, let's see. Ed, good morning, Coach and Duke crew. Back to you, Ed. Hopefully you have a great morning. Move up in the draft only, exclamation point, for a starter that fills a need. So what is that need? Whew. That's a great question, Ed. Do we have any real needs on the team? And that, again, goes back to my point about I don't think we can carry 7 rookies because I'm going to guess, unless somebody's just egregiously great, there could be a real chance out of this year's draft there's no starters. I think the easiest potential starter would be the kicker. If you draft somebody and they're just a real McCoy, they're out there kicking. All right, Badgley, we don't see you as a long-term answer here. This dude we just drafted from, Timbuktu or whatever, he's got, a cannon leg. We're going to keep him, and he's probably going to be our starter for 3 to 4 or 5 years. But outside of that, will Jackson Powers Johnson, will he supplant somebody to be a starter this year? Nealon, whoever else you go after, will they come in and start? I'm not even 100% sure anybody who drafted defensive end, even if it was one of the more premium guys, they might not end up starting right away. They could in time, but I think that's, you're on a good point here, Ed. There's a lot of depth on this team, and it's not going to be easy for anybody to come in and make the starting roster or starting spots. Not like it was a couple years ago when there was just no talent on this team. And as long as you drafted well, those guys were probably going to get a ton of reps. All right, Michael, move back and get more picks, and let's build a dynasty. Okay, nothing wrong with that either. Miles, happy birthday, Mom. I will tell her you said happy birthday, 100%. Brosi, Hookadoo, I guess you're too lazy to type it out. Fair enough. All right. And happy birthday, Mom. I'm going to let her know. Everybody in the Dew crew is saying happy birthday. Drew, good morning, Dan. The Dew crew, exclamation point. How was the Mountain Dew yesterday? It was great, man. You know what? It's going to be even better this morning before I go hit that gym and get to work. So thank you. Miles, let's see. This is Brad's third go at the draft. I'd rather get more draft choices this draft. The man will show real as fire if he aces another draft. Yeah, I mean, to your point, man, yeah, he's had 3 very successful drafts. This will be his 4th go-around. If he just knocks it out of the park this time, and let's just say he does get, I want to say throughout his tenure, he's brought in 3 to 4 starters just about every draft. If that happens again this year, yeah, this team is just going to be crazy deep and good. All right, JDC, happy birthday, Dan's mom. Keep on trucking 100%. I will let her know everybody is saying happy birthday. Hookadoo, Department of Natural Resources. There we go. Miles, Michael, Allen, exactly, yes. Michael, does anyone know if Barnes had his knee surgery yet? Question mark. Is he rehabbing it and will be ready for the season? I don't specifically know, to be fair, but I'm going to assume they did it within a week or 2 after the season's conclusion. So, yeah, he would be deep into the rehab process by now. All right, Broski, St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, they're studs. Lions number 2 receiver is this Jameson guy. That's questionable. Number 3, Raymond. Number 2 tight end is Wright, maybe, or Mitchell. Montgomery runs like he has a piano on his back. Man, taking shots at your former teammate. I'll say this. I think Jameson, who knows, but I think Jameson is going to have a very good season. The number 3 receiver, I would anticipate at this point, it's either going to be Khalif Raymond or Donovan Peoples-Jones, unless the Lions do go after someone in the draft that then potential. Number 2, it could be Brock Wright. It could be James Mitchell. I like James Mitchell, though. The only knock I really have on him is his run blocking. I actually thought there would be more to him in that department when you drafted him, but at least at this point, it's still a work in progress. Montgomery, I'm happy with him, man. I think he's pretty decent. All right, Jeff, the Woodward wall has a nice ring to it. All right, for the defense of the offensive line, I guess. Let me know, man. Hookadoo, Broski, MCDC will have a bear skin rug. There you go. Maybe he'll wear it over his shoulders like a cape. Go kind of old school Conan the Barbarian. All right, staff, what do you got? People sleeping on TJ Tampa. He is. All right. Yeah, he is pretty decent, man. I like him. Broski, Hookadoo, prayers. All right, fair enough. Miles, I dream of a day when our roster is so good that each year's demands hard choices between retaining elite talent and their costs. That'd be a hell of a Shazam. There we go. And I think we're getting to that point. Every year, boy, there's going to be some hard choices from here going forward for the foreseeable future, the next 2, 3, 4 years. You're going to have to make hard choices with some of the rookies you drafted. You're not going to be able to keep them all. Not everybody can get paid. And there are going to be some real good former Detroit Lions. All right, Hatman, Broski Bear. Monty couldn't get 1,000 yards until joining a real team. That's facts being foretold. Broski, hooky do. I actually don't like killing bears or lions for sport. I think it's messed up. If they threaten you, then blast them without hesitation. But for sport, I don't like that. Okay, fair enough. Hooky do, Broski, I stopped hunting. Very good. Broski, Hatman, or is it because Detroit has a real QB? Buston had 1,000 yards on yards himself, so that cut into Montgomery's stats. Think about it. I mean, Buston Fields. He did run the ball, and it did take away from Monty getting the ball more and more. This is true. All right, Miles Bar, Hookadoo. I live in a former DNR Rangers dormitory that once sat in the Pigeon River Forest Natural Wilderness. Very good. All right, let's see. Staff, what do you got? Surtain would cost too much. Ultimately, you would have to sacrifice someone to extend his contract. Can't pay him and extend him. Goff, St. Brown, Swill, and Hutch. You're going to have to make some hard choices for sure, but at least for 2 seasons, you got him on a team-friendly deal. Miles, Broski Bear, by the way, no one spells out DNR. It means the same thing in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Fair enough. All right, Miles, but you're south. I forgot. Very good. Hookadoo, Miles Marker. My grandpa had a house on Burt Lake. There you go. Staff, in a year or two, the Lions are going to be trading away talent for picks because no way whatsoever they can keep everybody, Philly and Riddick. You're probably correct with that, Staff. I agree. At some point, you're going to have to make some hard choices with a lot of these guys. You could let them play out their contracts and just take off and be free agents. And maybe that's what they choose to do. But to your point, you can't keep everybody. You can't pay everybody. And the better and better you draft consistently over time, you're going to face more of those situations. All right, Silver Surfer. Good morning, Coach, and everyone else. Hope they sell some of their picks to bring a grand total of 4 good players. Draft O-line, D-line, cornerback with the next. That would be best option and wide receiver. Okay, yep. And it sounds like most of us are agreeing that the areas are probably going to be offensive line, defensive line, corner, and wide receiver. I still think they're probably going to bring in a kicker, but whether or not it's going to be a kicker they'll beat out Badgley, who knows? I think it's going to be more for competition. Mile, very cool. Not from here. It's still a nice area. There you go, Hookadoo. All right, Broski, Dan, you are the man. Back at you. I hope you have a good one. Even though you're a Bears fan, we get along enough. Exclamation point. All right, Silver Server, not interested in the idea of Surtain. Keep picks, build. Surtain would raise the expectation too much. Lions need to have that underdog note. Very good. Anthony, let's see, Broski, and on to Pilskis. There you go. All right, Mile, the Raggedy Ann. That's a pretty good burn, though. Yeah, Raggedy Ann and Andy. That's old school. Hookadoo, Anthony. There you go. Having a little fun here. Miles feels sort of so. All right. JDC, pass the Pilskis from the left-hand side. All right. Broski, Anthony, more like too much coffee. Cafe Bustero, the Cuban stuff getting amped before the gym. All right, there you go. Hey, Phil, good morning. Good morning to you, Phil. Hopefully having a great morning, my friend. Staff, Brad Holmes loves defense through free agency and offense through the draft. If Brad Holmes makes a move, I believe he will move up for an explosive wide receiver to solidify that wide receiver room. I think there are more and more speculation about the Lions potentially bringing in a receiver. And there's been all sorts of names thrown out. I get it, especially if you could add somebody who's a real playmaker out there. That wide receiver room starts looking scary good. And maybe if you can't resign somebody in the future, now it's not as impactful on the team. But we'll wait and see what happens. I still think they were going offensive line, defensive edge, corner, and then wide receiver. But I've been wrong before, man. Hey, what's this, Jeff? Thank you very much for this. I will enjoy a little delicious hot dog and Mountain Dew this morning. And if Bobby is working this morning, I don't know her new schedule at the new place, but I will leave her a tip. And thank you again for that. Thank you very much. Don, the infamous one, Don Byrne at Silver Surfer. Lions was a quarter away from the Super Bowl. What's underdog do you think the Lions are? ? The target on Detroit's back is big and noticeable. LOL. We'll have multiple primetime games. Yeah, I would say after the way we finished the 9-7 year, and especially once we beat Kansas City, there's probably a lot of teams that started targeting us, especially later in the season. I think that's why you started seeing more and more teams throw their best shots at us. But to Silver's point, your point, Don, yeah, there's going to be a huge target on Detroit throughout the year. You're going to see so much media praise towards them, talk about things, and like you've alluded to, the primetime games. I got to imagine we'll potentially have 7 or 8 of them. We get the Thanksgiving game, a day game is going to be one. But I believe with the story that we have, the personalities and the coaching staff, the way last year went, yeah, probably 7 or 8 primetime games this year. All right, let's see. Bo, what do you got? Montgomery makes music every time he runs. Therefore, having a piano on his back is appropriate. Ooh, I like how you played that there, Bo. All right, JDC, snow. Yes, snow is, if you got some, hey, it is that time of year, man, still. Miles, making a good morning at Jeff. Yes, yeah, making it a very good morning. And thank you again, Jeff. Gary, we got happy birthday, Mama Coach. I will let her know you said so. I would love to trade for Surtain, but if we couldn't land him, and call the Raiders and ask again about Crosby. Whew, that would be awesome. Crosby on that line. Wow. Yeah, who do you double? You can't double everybody. Now, if you're going to send anybody out in routes, I got to imagine, yeah, that'd be a great situation to watch unfold. Phil, how's your mother doing? Given the last week or so, probably as good as can be expected. I know some of my sisters are taking her out to lunch today, and then a bunch of us are meeting up and doing something for her a little later this afternoon. Then we're going to try to do something for her for Easter tomorrow. But, hey, she still lives on her own. She still works a couple of jobs, like once or twice a week. She still mows her own lawn and shovels her own driveway, man. She is stubborn as can be. Yeah, I tell her, like, I don't live incredibly far away from her. I tell her, hey, I'll stop by and shovel the drive for her, and she chews me out. We'll put it that way if I try to do so. All right, Silver. Let's see. Frazier, Leggett, Sweat, Hargadoo would be nice for me. Yeah, those will all be nice pickups there. Miles, yay, Anthony. Thank you. 100%. Bo, Anthony, exclamation point. Great new icon. There you go. Kurt Steele, what up, though? Duke Crew. The Duke Crew is rocking out and hopefully having a great day, my friend. Hopefully had a great time last night, too. Phil, Kurt, yes, waving at him. All right, Bo, we got morning, Kurt. Exclamation point, where do you stand on Brock Wright? Question mark. All right, Phil, let the right go. Let Hutch play the number 5 tight end. That could be an idea. Broski, Kurt Steele, doe, a deer, a female deer. There you go, doe, a deer. All right, Bo, what do you got? Ray, a pocket full of sun. Exclamation point, sun god. There you go. Who could do? Anthony, I'll let you know when I get mine. I'm very good. Broski, Michigan, a name. I call myself FA, a long way to run. There you go. All right. Miles, oops, I'm at 4th. All right. All right. Kurt, LOL, Broski Berry, not your first time using that joke. Very good. All right. Miles, 3rd's a charm, but 4 is real. There you go. 3 is a charm. Yep. Bo, we got. So your needle has a long way to go. All right. Is that still you? I really think Monty is a solid brick in the Lions. Yeah, I think he helps out a ton. I'm glad to have him here. Broski, Gibbs is the truth, something special. I think most people would agree on that. Man, he's rare. He's rare. And, the Lions took a lot of flack or a lot of raised eyebrows by drafting him at number 12. But you know what? It looks like they knew something. All right, the Bert T, what do you got? Should draft a kicker? I think so, man. And again, maybe it's somebody who can supplant Badgley. If nothing else, it's competition. And I know there are a few real strong leg kickers that potentially could be had. And you get them, maybe you find out one is a diamond in the rough, the next Jason Hanson, Eddie Murphy, or whatever. Michael Allen, the NFL has outstanding tackling. You can't go low, you can't go high, you can't go from behind. Yeah, you got to. You're going to tell everybody you've got to blast them from in front. But what do you do if you're chasing somebody from behind? Somebody gets up the sideline and you got to run them down from the back. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's going to be a tough one. Ed, what do you got? For a lot of reasons, the NFL should increase 53-man roster to 60. I think that's kind of the idea with the practice squad, but obviously those guys are protected players. They can be poached. Broski, Kurt Steele, all right. Is that still you? I think about all the trolling we get if we lose the next Thanksgiving. Oof. Yeah, especially if it's to the Bears. Yeah, there will be a whole lot of that going on. All right, Broski. Michael Anon, it's natural since the tackler can't lead with their head, but that will fall off to the side of the ball carrier and tackle around the hip. They are trying to Europeanize the sport. All right, I'll go with that. Trump's, woo! I'm late. Yes, you are, but you know what? You made it in time. Yeah, man. Just seeing the Vikings trade up again for a quarterback. Yeah, I think they possibly are, man. And I get there's lots of speculation who they're going to go after. Are they going to go for this person, that person, whatever? But yeah, I think they're going to go for it. And I know there are some reports going around more and more that J.J. McCarthy is going to go potentially number 2 overall in the draft. I mean, we'll see if that happens. I don't see him that high, but I also haven't spent a lot of time deep diving on him and everything and studying him. All right, Bo, better late than never. Absolutely, man. Plus, and you can always, when the live stream ends, you can always go back and hit, replay or whatever. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, get it on out of here. So, hey, a great show today. Thanks for everybody for joining in. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Trying to make that push to get to 6,300 subs. We're about 50 away. So if you could help out with that, that'd be great. Also, if you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button. All right, hold on. There's a few more comments coming in. Broski, if Vikings get Phoenix, that would be tough. Phoenix is my top-rated quarterback in the draft. Okay. Bo, Coach, have you never seen The Sound of Music? Maybe 40-some years ago. It's been a moment. Manberg, I slept in as well. Hey, man, it's that kind of weekend, man. Nothing wrong with that at all. But good morning to you. Miles, yep, all Lions. Very good. Matthew, need to have larger practice squads with part protected. That would be, if you could protect some of the practice squad guys, that would help out a ton. Staff was Carlton Davis is the Lions wild card. If he plays close to his best, it's going to transform what AG can call on defense with Branch and Iffy roaming and or blitzing. Team's going to, have problems. I would agree with that. And then Manbear, how's the new crew do? It's not the Millam Drive place. I'll put it that way. So I may have to try a few other Circle Ks. That's the one problem I've had whenever I've stopped at other Circle Ks. I mean, they're good. They're much better than Speedway, in my opinion. But they're just not quite the same as the now former Circle K. All right, Bo, what do you got? Durab, F. Leto. There you go. Liddell, trade back. A lot of value in this draft. We'll go with that. JDC, one last. Woo! All right, there you go. So if there is some breaking news later today, I'll try to get it over to you guys as long as it doesn't interrupt Mama Coach's birthday celebration. Other than that, I hope you all have a great day. Take care, and we'll see you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.